All right, welcome to The Explainer. I am so incredibly excited for today's deep dive because we are literally doing a complete musical autopsy. We're gonna look right under the hood to dissect the skeletal structure of Miley Cyrus's massive record-breaking hit Flowers, and we're comparing it against the Bruno Mars track it allegedly copied. If you are someone who loves understanding how music actually works, you are in for a serious treat today.
Okay, let's just get right into it. The whole reason we're even talking about this today is a recent copyright lawsuit filed by Tempo Music Investments. Basically, they own a share of the copyright to Bruno Mars's 2012 hit When I Was Your Man, and they're claiming that Cyrus's Flowers intentionally copied its melody and harmony. They're essentially arguing that without the Bruno Mars track, Flowers simply wouldn't exist. So we are going to look strictly at the sheet music, the data, and the specific production choices to see what's really going on here.
Now, if you just compare the lyrics, the surface level similarities are, well, they're absolutely undeniable. Bruno sings about regret, I should have bought you flowers and held your hand. But Miley brilliantly subverts those exact ideas into a declaration of self-reliance. I can buy myself flowers, and I can hold my own hand. She's completely flipping the script from a place of sorrow to a place of total independence. Because of that deliberate lyrical flip, music experts actually classify Flowers as a response song or an answer track. It's a thematic counterpoint to the original narrative. But, and this is absolutely crucial, here's where we need to separate the words from the actual music. Today, we're using the hard musical data to debunk the myth that these two songs are structurally and musically identical. Section 1. A Tale of Two Tempos. So let's start with the literal heartbeat of the music. When I Was Your Man operates at a slow, deliberate 73 beats per minute. And this speed, or I guess lack thereof, is really important. It creates this incredibly vulnerable, stripped-back feeling. It's a heavy, emotional piano ballad that forces you to just sit in the stillness of the singer's regret. But then, contrast that with Flowers, which jumps all the way up to 118 beats per minute. I mean, that totally transforms the song into a strutting, mid-tempo empowerment anthem. At 118 BPM, you aren't sitting still reflecting on the past, you are quite literally moving forward. The tempo itself becomes the sound of a person becoming their own source of happiness. It's a real game changer.
Section 2. Breaking down the chords.
Alright, so we've seen the speed difference, but what about the actual sheet music? We kind of have to address the elephant in the room right away. Both songs do share some basic musical DNA. They're both in the key of C, and they both start with an A minor chord. That A minor chord establishes a moody, reflective vibe right out of the gate. But I have to point out here, as music theorists often do, that literally tens of thousands of sad pop songs start with an A minor chord. That alone for sure does not make a copy. The real story is what happens after that first chord. Think about how the two structures compare. Bruno's track uses a wandering, highly complex sequence of chords. It shifts from A minor to C to D minor and features rhythmic variations that perfectly reflect this feeling of emotional turmoil and unpredictability. Miley's track does something entirely different. It locks into a steady four-chord loop: A minor, D minor, G, and C. It repeats like a mantra. That simple, hypnotic loop acts as a steady engine for moving on, which is completely unlike the dynamic, sprawling piano structure of Bruno's ballad. Section 3. The Disco Funk Groove. Beyond just the notes on the page, the arrangement and instrumentation separate these tracks by entire musical genres. While Bruno relied on a solitary piano, Miley's producers anchored Flowers with a 4-on-the-floor beat. If you don't know, that's a rhythmic pattern with a steady, accented kick drum on every single beat. It is heavily associated with 1970s disco. By using this, Cyrus links her track not to 2012 piano ballads, but to classic survival anthems like Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive. It completely shifts the entire mood of the whole shebang. And just listen to how many different cultural layers are built into that groove. You have this syncopated rhythm, but the bass line is played staccato, short, bouncy notes that give it a distinct country and Mexican norteño twang. And floating above all of that is this incredible oboe-like synthesizer. Experts call this a responder. It acts almost like a flying mirror, catching Miley's vocal melodies and rephrasing them, perfectly filling the empty spaces she leaves behind. Section 4. The Slingshot Effect. Speaking of empty spaces, let's dive into what I consider the absolute X factor of Flowers. Producers call this the slingshot effect. Normally, when a massive pop chorus hits, you expect a heavy thud on the very first downbeat. Boom, right on one. But the producers of Flowers intentionally leave that first beat completely empty. It's a moment of pure silence. This acts like winding back the string of a bow. Your brain anticipates a beat that doesn't arrive, which builds incredible tension, until they finally release all that musical energy and drop the beat heavily on beat number 2.
And this is where it all comes together emotionally. That momentary vacuum of silence perfectly mirrors the lyric right before it. Started to cry, but then remembered, and then bam, the beat drops on 2. That explosive, delayed rush of joy is the musical equivalent of a light bulb moment. It's the feeling of self-love and independence finally, truly clicking into place.
Section 5. 2 different musical stories.
When you put all of these pieces together, it becomes so clear that we aren't just looking at a copy and paste job. I absolutely love this quote from our source material. The song stops being a story about a breakup and becomes a superhero origin story. The tempos shift to 118 BPM, that driving 4-on-the-floor disco beat, and that genius rhythmic slingshot, they all work together. They take a borrowed lyrical concept about a failed relationship and they turn it into a completely triumphant declaration of strength.
So I want to leave you with this question to chew on. Does a shared lyrical idea really matter if the musical skeleton, the tempo, the chord structures, the rhythm, tells a completely different story? Flowers proves that in pop music, the true storytellers aren't just the words on the page. They are the grooves, the tempos, and the strategic silences that make you feel something entirely new. Thanks for joining me on this musical autopsy, and I highly encourage you to go listen to both tracks right now with a brand new set of ears.